Hi, this is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net, and in today's video you're going to learn an effective way to memorize and remember the chords you learn on guitar. Now there's a lot of chords out there, and if you've ever seen one of those chord encyclopedia books, you'll know what I mean. And if you've ever tried learning chords and remembering chords using one of these books, well, yeah, you know it's not an effective way to go about it. There's a much better way to remember chords on guitar. So in this lesson, you're going to learn effective ways to develop a large chord vocabulary on the guitar, as well as ways to apply these chords. There's no point just learning a bunch of chord shapes for the sake of it. We want to be able to use them in our playing too. So the key is how they relate to each other on the fretboard. So we're going to look at that closely so that you can see an effective way to memorize and remember the chords that you learn on guitar. So let's get to it. So building chord vocabulary, so the amount of chords that you can play on guitar, there's thousands of chords, right? There's 11 to 12,000 chords on the guitar. No one knows them all, and you don't need to know even nearly all of them. But we do want to branch out from open chords and bar chords. Open chords and bar chords are great. I use them every day. So this is not a thing of don't use open chords, don't use bar chords. Of course we want to. But the thing is, that's typically where you start. And that's where a lot of people finish too. They don't really move on from that. Perhaps you play a chord in a song because the tablature, like Mike was just saying, the tablature is telling you to do it. So you do it, but you don't understand the chord, and it's not part of your playing because you can't use it outside of the context of the song. We want to be able to do that. For me, I mean, I played 8 years before I really branched out and learned about chords on the guitar beyond open chords and bar chords. It took going to school to study jazz in the late 90s to get me out of that. I'd play a lot of chords in songs, but I didn't understand them. And so really, it's not part of my playing until I can do that. So a couple of things here to get you started, or might help if you're already doing this sort of thing. There's the application, as I say, and there's the relationship too. So you could learn a lot of chords, but how do you retain those chords? How do you remember? Because you probably are familiar with chord encyclopedias you can buy. And these are good reference. I mean, an encyclopedia is a book of reference. We don't really want to go front to back trying to memorize all these chords. It's just like, you know, maybe you want a few new ways to play an A chord. So you can check out, you know, some A chords, but you still want to be able to get them out of that and into your playing. If we talk about the relationship, so we want to be able to anchor the chord shape, the new chord shape you're working on down onto the fretboard. We want to be able to pin it onto the fretboard in as many ways as we can. So for example, if I'm learning the triad shapes that I was using in the earlier first point, I think, and we had these 4-3-2, and by 4-3-2 I'm referring to the strings I'm playing on here, the fourth string, the third, and the second. So we call these 4-3-2 voicings of triads. So I've got these 3 A shapes. So how do we remember those shapes? Well, if you can list multiple ways, it's going to help anchor it onto the fretboard. So one would be, okay, here's this shape. I can relate to that because it's the middle, not the middle, but 3 of the 6 strings of the larger root 6 bar chord shape. So immediately I've related it to previous knowledge. I've put it into context. I've connected it. We've got to connect everything together when we learn it on the fretboard. If something new comes in, it's got to connect with other things that already exist in your knowledge. So this lives inside this. Okay, so if we want to find D, well, we can just visualize where the D bar chord is, and we can see where that little shape lives within it, the little chord fragment. So it's a pretty simple one to find once you make that connection. Of course, provided that you're up with your bar chords and you know those. Another little bit of information there that could help is knowing the root note. That's the A note. It's in root position. So there's my D note. If I extend the same shape from that D note on the 4th string, I'll get a D chord. If I extend it from the G note, I'll get a G chord. Okay, so knowing the note names, or certainly the note names within the chord, or even just where the root note is, then there's another little bit of information that helps you retain where that is on the fretboard, your visualization of it. And you want, you know, as many different things that can hold that chord shape down for you, the better. So if I have this shape up here, it's another 4-3-2 A triad shape. I could find the root, it's not in root position, but here is the root note on the top. So if I can find the root note and see how the shape fits around that root note, then I can move it to make it a D chord or an E chord. So knowing the note names on the guitar, one of the many reasons why you want to, because it's going to help you find the chords. But you can also reverse engineer it a bit by learning chords and getting them into your playing. You become more familiar with the note names, so it can work the other way around too. So this you might also relate to, this is coming from the C shape here. If I play this voicing in open position, it's down here, and that's the top part of a C open chord. So you can kind of visualize the C shape. If I completed the shape, I put my pinky on the 5th string now, and it become root position. So it's relating the shapes in as many ways as you can to what you already know. The more ways, the better. You really want to anchor it down on the fretboard. The other thing is the application. So you want to be able to apply things. So I remember playing this shape a lot in my early days, like the Hendrix chord, they call it, the 7 sharp 9. And so I'd play that in various songs, but I wouldn't really understand what I was doing. That's just a chord I'd play at that time. What you want to do when you see a chord like that, it doesn't have to be this one, it could be any sort of chord that you aren't familiar with and you like, and you want to make it part of your vocab, then you want to apply it, you want to understand it. So I'd want to look at that and go, okay, well, there's the root note E, so I can, it's a root 5 chord, it's root on the 5th string, I can move it around, I can play a D7 sharp 9 here, or a C7 sharp 9. Maybe if I played a blues in E, could I use that shape when the E7 comes up in my blues? Or could I end the blues on that chord? You just want to take it out of the song you're learning and apply it to something else. You might relate it, if you know the common 9 chord, dominant 9 chord, you can see it's that with the sharp 9 added, the G here. So that's coming back to relating it to previous knowledge, previous things that you visualized. But you want to take the chords and you want to apply them in like dozens of ways over time. It'll be trial and error a little bit. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But getting in there and doing that, then extend your chord vocab, because we can all memorize a lot of chords, for a period of time maybe, but there's not much point just reeling them off in a non-musical sort of way and not really connecting them with what you already know on the fretboard. So there's a couple of ways to build and maintain, more importantly, a chord vocabulary to which then build and create your progressions.
Yeah, very important point I want to underline about applying things to other things you already know, because that's how you're going to remember them. And the corollary of that is you're going to spend more time on any chord shape you discover, just going deeper on it and really making it part of your playing, just like with scales. A lot of people get this bug to learn as many scales as possible. So they Google, list of 100 scales and they memorize them all in a day. And then they're like, oh, I know a bunch of scales, but tomorrow they only know like 20 of them. And the day after that, they only know like 3. So it's the same exact thing with chords. You want to really make it your own by doing all the things Simon was talking about. And ironically, that will make you a better and more creative player. Again, going back to the example of scales, there are a whole bunch of guitar players who are known for using like 1 or 2 scales and writing a whole bunch of awesome music with it. Same can be done with chords. Not that you have to know just 1 or 2 chords, but my point is, if you know a handful of chords, relatively speaking, but know them really, really well with all the embellishments and extensions and applying concepts of voice leading, you can get a ton of mileage out of a relatively small number of chords. And then when you learn the next thing, the next set of chords, and the next couple of shapes, you will be able to draw upon all that deep knowledge of the stuff you already know to get even more mileage out of any new thing you learn. So it compounds upon itself if you build your knowledge the smart way, like Simon was explaining.
If you like this video, then you'll love this free ebook I've created for you in my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series, simply titled Block Chords. In this ebook, you learn the 3 main block chord types for your guitar playing and how to create great music with them. I also show you how to best visualize these shapes on your guitar so you never forget them. It's as easy as changing one single note in each block chord shape. You also learn a system for easily relating the block chord shapes to each other all over the fretboard so you can play any chord you like in any position with ease. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Block Chords. Let me know in the comments below what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I read the comments, I love the suggestions that you put forward. Many of them do become videos, so don't be shy. If you want to see something, drop us a line and I'll be sure to get to it. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the all-important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video, which will be every single week. Thank you so much for being here. This is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net. As always, I really do appreciate you taking time to check out my videos. I hope they help your playing, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one.